'cause that's us 9!
Welcome to Soul to Scene, the podcast where seasoned form keyboard warriors talk cars. I'm Andy Cooper from RMS Motoring. And again, I'm joined by Gary Riley.
Hello.
Oh, he's going to talk to me today. Happy days. And Craig Allen.
Hello.
And this week, our very first and most welcome guest, Mr. Chris Suitor.
What about you, gents?
Welcome, Chris. Now, if you missed our previous show, our pilot episode of Soul to Scene, we had to go with the new M3, those nostrils, and found out that the E36 3 Series is 30 years old, and that I ordered a GR Yaris.
Oh, God.
And if you haven't listened to that yet, I was nearly going to say I highly recommend listening to it, but maybe if you've nothing better to do, maybe there it is.
Yeah, while we're on about M3s, big shout out to Chris Martin and Hayden Houston from RMS, who offered to lend me their M3s for the weekend after my revelation from episode 1 that I'd never even sat in an M3. Big thanks. I'm going to take them up on it as well once COVID fucks off.
I reckon there's going to be a bit of nostalgia in today's show as we reminisce about the car show scene and all sorts, no doubt, with Chris later on.
Those were the days. Do you know what, Cooper? I'm actually just looking up what a Yaris GR is. I've seen these float. One of them. I've seen one of them. Holy shit, man! You've ordered one of those.
Don't get them started.
Here. Wow. Oh my goodness gracious me. Are these like 300 brake horsepower or something?
Yeah.
Oh no.
4-wheel drive, 2 diffs, carbon roof.
Oh my God, Cooper. Tell me this, Cooper, did you buy some Bitcoin maybe at the start or something?
Oh,
like
I just slipped in there. Yeah. A bit of Ethereum. That's what it was.
Love it, mate. Love it.
Right. Look, point of order here.
Go.
In our many edits of the first podcast, I missed out an important plug because the reason I really liked the idea of doing a podcast was I was a guest in the Reload podcast. I don't know if any of you guys listened to that, but big shout out to Nigel Lane Connor over at Reload. Has anyone seen the new Fast and Furious 9 trailer?
No, is it look good?
No.
Of course it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It's ridiculous.
Tell me this: is it a load of Fate Abarths coming out the Ards carriageway out of TMC?
Yeah,
that would be realistic.
that would be realistic. So it's going to be. RMS has been going since 2001, the same as Fast and Furious. And as you said on the forum, Gary, unlike RMS, Fast and Furious, you said it's becoming like a Shakespearean epic.
Right. The first one was like a Shakespeare film compared to what they're bringing out now. It is absolutely ludicrous.
Looks absolutely ridiculous. John Cena's in it. John Cena is Dom's brother. So it's just going to be an overacting spectacle. Sure, we'll all go and see it.
100%.
We'll all go and see it.
And can we predict that they're probably going to have a massive fight and then make up at the end?
I do
the
reckon.
next one.
I predict danger to manifold. It's all at which point it's a fallout.
We had a cinema outing for RMS members, if you remember the second film.
Too Fast, Too Furious. Which was
Yorkgate.
That's right. And we had the motors out at the front of Yorkgate and all the rest back in the day. Sorry, city side.
Here, boys, all joking, it was amazing, wasn't it? I was there, and it was the first one. I remember the very first one. It was special. You remember back in those days, lads, cars were everything. We didn't think about anything else other than our cars, and to have a massive film, big billboard film, being all about the tuning world, it was here, boys. That was a special time, and it's sad because the kids nowadays, like, what have they got to really be into, like Minecraft or flipping Call of Duty? There's no, the cars.
Well, if they watch this new film, they can get into space travel.
So I take it there's no NOS running anymore. It's just like hybrid technology or just batteries.
I couldn't tell you. I've tried 3 or 4 times now to get through the trailer and I can't. Every 30 seconds, just go, this is absolute piss.
I know. Here, do you reckon they go down to the local tuning store and go, hey, I need more batteries. Get me more. I need more power. I need more batteries.
They did a Poundland.
Give me one of those Duracell batteries.
Yeah.
Overnight
14 bags of
Tesco
Poundland batteries.
The only bit that I have seen is Dame Helen Mirren lifting the wand, and that's not a euphemism.
Oh my goodness!
She asked.
Fantastic.
That's her first time, I would imagine.
Oh,
Here,
God.
did she have a real name, but you just couldn't pronounce it? I went wherever your heads are, boys. Sorry, that was
You're too high.
right. Anyway, somebody save me there quickly. Somebody save me.
Oh no, we're gonna just let you die in your own shit there.
Here, extend the silence that one out like 30 seconds.
Lads. Tumbleweed.
Play some hold music.
Oh my God, lads.
Brilliant.
But those were great days. And do you know what, Cooper? You think of it, I still remember to this day even the thought of RMS, which was, I think we were at a car show, might have been 99 or 2000 maybe. You had the red Corolla and you'd either just got a front bumper or something put on it. And we were going to a car show and you were saying, I'm going to do a website. I've got this thing. It's called reallymeansounds.com. We're like, Andy, what the fuck's that all about?
Yeah.
It's called what?
Yeah.
Really means sound. It's what?
Takes you forever to type it out.
No one can even spell that. How's everybody going to go on to it? And here, fair play, guys, because like it was what brought us all together, and it was life for a long time. You came straight home and got on the forum. That was life, mate.
Yeah, got the dial-up going.
Yeah, it was. Oh, flip, remember that.
Those were the days.
Those were the days, mate. There was some crack. I would never take them back. They were brilliant.
Absolutely. Look, couple of other things, because we're going to come to you very shortly, Chris. A couple of other things. Number one was, speaking of the forum, this very day, someone posted up, our new cars losing their appeal. Did any of you see this?
Yeah.
And there's people giving off about there's nothing new. Well, obviously, GR Yaris, flipping most awesome thing about. I think you can still buy a fuck off, you. It's don't yawn when I mention the Yaris. I think you can buy a brand new Abarth 595, Chris, can you?
You can.
Yep,
you get a 695 or 200 brake, yeah.
Okay, and you can buy M2. You can buy a brand new Civic Type R. There's loads of shit. There's loads of awesome stuff to buy at the moment. Like, I tell you now, there are 10 more golden years of the internal combustion engine, and we're in the middle of it. Okay. Because 2030, it's going to be boring. Well, all the boring hybrid shit has appeared. I remember going into Toyota to talk about the Yaris, and there's we'll have this lovely Corolla hybrid, and it's just boredom on a plate. Absolutely hideous. But
whenever those times come around, then all the cars we enjoy now, they're going to go like really, really scarily high in value, and you can't buy them to enjoy them.
I don't know. I think if you want to hold on to an internal combustion car, now's the time to buy.
What if the government comes out with some sort of crazy taxes on them that if you own one, you know what I mean? You just have to pay ridiculous amount of tax. They might try and phase it out over the next, well, maybe not in our lifetime, lads. I think we'll be okay. I think it's our kids that are going to suffer from that. I think we'll get to the end of our days with petrol. Maybe not diesel, but we'll get to the end of our days with petrol.
I saw someone on RMS mention tonight that the tax on a new Defender is 630 quid a year.
Oh, God.
When did it roll into the 600s?
I'd give you a laugh. Yaris, 150 quid a year.
That's class.
That's just unbelievable. But I bet you the Fiat's the same. Is it? The Abarth is.
I'm not sure, but my Megabus, it was only 100 and something quid for the year and like £170 to insure for the year.
Unbelievable.
And you've got 400 brake per ton. It's just, with no safety. Okay, it had a cage, but the cage was worth fuck all. And that was just that's mental. But that Defender, that's a lot of money for tax. Like
630 quid.
Unbelievable. Also, some good news that restrictions are starting to lift. Chris's shops and businesses are going to be open, and he's punching the air here. But track days are coming back as well, which is awesome. So I think track skills are back next weekend. Track days at IE are starting to kick off as well, which is fantastic. The return of normality. Thank frig.
Wonder, could I take one of those borrowed M3s?
Now, I'm chuffed to bits that our first guest on the show is Chris Suitor. I've known Chris since we went to Queen's together, Chris, if you remember.
That's right.
It's not yesterday, mate, was it? Both of us massively into our cars, and our paths have sort of kept crossing ever since, really randomly over the years, including the hairdresser, the barber.
Yeah, that's right.
A bit of background on Chris, for those of you who don't know him, heavily involved in the car show scene from the epic sound-off events of the early 2000s we all used to go to the car shows. Flip painted 106, then went on to start the hugely successful SQ Design Body Shop along with Chris Quinn, which you both ran for several years, and then moving into the family tailoring business with Suitor Brothers Menswear in Belfast, among other endeavours. Chris, you're prolific on social media and tailor to the stars, including Carl Frampton, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Superbank champ Jonathan Ray, and AC12 Steve Arnott from, of course, Line of Duty. And that's not all. Chris was on the board of the Belfast Chamber of Commerce. Is that right, Chris? Yeah,
that's right. I was. I was indeed.
Yeah. DJs. Your DJ running sets from your house over lockdown. And raising awareness of testicular cancer through bollocks, which I think is brilliant, by the way, and I see that on the cap there. Of course, really glad you wore it, because that is just the image I had in my head of you when you were coming on today with the bollocks on the head.
Bollocks!
And recently launched your new coffee brand, 1111. Is 1111 or is it 41?
It's 1111. Yep, the brand, the coffee business is Suitor Coffee, but the brand of the coffee is 1111.
And you had a Westfield Mega Booster, which we've talked about, and you have a 595, a Barth on the way, which you plan to tune to the balls.
Wednesday, yes. And let me see, what do I still have? Car-wise, I have a 205, of what I believe to be one of the last 10 205 CTIs ever.
You have a CTI convertible, don't you? Yeah.
Of a 1.9 white CTI convertible. And let me see what else I've got. Nicholas, she's still got the X5. I've got a 2004 Chrysler Voyager that I call the float boat. Yes, it has dents and dings and scrapes and everything, but it's honestly, lads, out of all the cars out there, it's the first one I go to. You stuff in the boot, kids in the car, they can chuck their McDonald's cartons over their shoulder. You're not worrying about cleaning it. It's great. And like family cars, we've got a couple of pool cars in the business. We've got an XJ Jag that we just got new there for like a limo that we choose to go down to Dublin and stuff in. And yeah, but I'm still got to be smart car. I've got a smart car all livered up with the tartan.
Smartin?
Yep, the Smartin. What else have we got? Is that it? Still got the Cadillac. Still got the Cadillac.
You got the Caddy.
Oh, still got the Cadillac.
That's because no one will buy it. I would say.
That's, do you know what? It only get MOT'd again there last week, and it still drives like a fucking Rolex. It is like that. So yeah, still got the Caddy. Let me see. I think that's about it. I got a motorbike there as well, like a bobber, like a chopper bobber thing, which is class. But yeah, so that's kind of the car history at the minute, lads. But I tell you, the Mega Boost, that was my kind of stoked the fire again with the whole cars, because before, lads, you know me, I was as big as you were into it, but then life took over, business took over. I just kind of not that I fell out of love with them, just life took different priorities and different steps. And like, I always kept my cars clean. Anytime I got a car, I always changed its appearance and modified. Like even the X5, it's lowered on 21s with full carbon kit and all the rest of it. But I kind of, not that I fell out of love with cars. I just went a different direction. But now, lads, and I was telling you before we started recording, we got my nephew a 595 Abarth just on Friday there. And me and my brother have decided that we're also going to get 595 Abarths, and we're going to tune the absolute living balls out of them all. And we're going to have our own wee 500 club. And me and my bro, we're going to be in and out of Suitor Brothers. Now, he won't want the anti-lag and the pops and bangs and stuff like that. I want mine sounding like a Harrier jump jet. So that people turn... But like, do you ever remember, lads, when I had a wee blue smart car? And it was like one of the first smart cars in the country. Do you remember a left-hand drive?
Yes.
Sideways, mostly.
Yes, big turbo on it and big exhaust. And this thing sounded like a flipping fighter jet coming down the carriageway or whatever. And then, you know, you'd turn around and there it is.
With a picture of it there.
There it is.
We'll post this. We'll post this in the show notes because it's priceless.
Oh, look at that. And then you turn around and look to see what it was, and it was this flipping twat like me in a smart car. I love that wee car. It was.
By the way, if you're looking at that picture on the blog later on, check out the Rover Turbo in the background. I'm just noticing.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh,
yeah. Very nice.
Oh dear! But then that thing, I melted that through the engine. I rebuilt that engine 3 times in that smart car, and it just got to the point where there was nothing left to bore out of the block. So it just had to go up the road. And but yeah, so that's it. Like, lads, I am quite happy to admit I am ready for an enormous midlife crisis. I am flipping ready for it, lads. So
you've got me looking at 595s.
Yeah, honestly, Rocco, you can buy them really cheap. You know, you can for anywhere from sort of $6,000 up. We'll buy a 595, and that place is said in Dundonald for like $1,000. You can get 100 brake horsepower for like £1,000. It's unbelievable. So you can have a 240 brake horsepower Fiat 500. Oh man, Cooper,
Unreal.
my plan, Cooper.
Yes.
Cooper. Now I have a new plan as of this podcast. I'm going to tune that apart so it can tear the shite out of your Yaris.
Oh,
Yes.
now we are on it.
Now, not in the corners. Forget about corners. I'm just talking straight line. We're going for it.
Hi, can I speak
Arch
to
Carter.
Ian Litchfield, please?
The gauntlet. That's
Send
me,
over a big turbo, please.
That's me ceremonially slapping you with my gauntlet with my glove. Cooper.
That's you ceremonially wafting the fart because the Yaris is coming for you.
So, jeepers, lads. So
I'm going to say Chris's grand will go a little bit farther, maybe.
I know, just a wee bit. I know. I won't put a grand by in one of those.
Magic tree.
New car mats.
Road tax.
Oh, jeepers. So, that's where we're at with a minute. So the cars, yeah. I'm actually really looking forward to getting up on a Saturday or a Sunday if I'm not at work, cleaning up the wee 500 and going to a car meet somewhere where I'm going to be surrounded by all the younger generation, and they're all going to look at me and go, "Who the fuck's that grand over there in his flipping 500?" And because do you remember, lads, back in our day, there were older guys that had fancier cars, and they had all the money, and we were obviously trying to scrimp and save to put new bumpers on our cars or a back box, and then the older lads would just arrive down with their RS flipping Sierras and all the rest of it, just tuned to the nuts, and you were always so jealous of them.
Forget about that. Remember, Davey had a VTR Saxo. Davey from Procar,
Yes,
had a VTR Saxo, and I always remember like, oh, it was always immaculate. And like nowadays, you think of a VTR Saxo, like they're hanging around the breakers yard. You could buy any number of them, but back in the day, something like that. Never mind an RS Cosy or anything like that. They were the thing to have. I know, because I'm sure when you had the 106, Chris, you were like, oh, I really wish I had an XSI or a GTI or
1.1 all flipping 63 horsepower, whatever it was of it. But yeah, like, you know, and lads, that's a lot of the kids, a lot of the people that be listening to this will be associating with it. You're trying to buy the best car you possibly can, which back then for us wasn't great, and then you were just trying to make it better because you couldn't insure anything faster.
No.
You couldn't afford to buy the good model because it had a better engine, which you couldn't insure. So you had to just buy a 1.4 Focus, Rocco, or a 1.1 106, and just, you know, try and, like, boys, do you remember putting air filters in your car and taking it up the road and thinking it was faster?
Yep.
We were chatting about this all day. Remember Max Power used to interview people, and then they would give their own kind of idea of what the performance stats were, and they would have an air filter and exhaust, and they say, "Oh yeah, 80 brake horse cars now does 60 in 4 seconds." And they had this in every single article.
Oh, jeepers. Oh, flip. Do you remember that? I don't know if you remember. Do you remember I won a set of Toyo tires from Max Power? Like every time Max Power came over, I was just burnouts, trying to get, you know, as you were back then, trying to get in the magazine. And one time the guy, it was Fly, I think he called him.
Photographer?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was over, and it wasn't even the burn, or no, it was the burnouts. He was down like lighting a flipping cigarette or something off the sparks that were coming out of my wheels. And anyway, it made the magazine, and because of that, I wrote a letter into them or something, and I got 4 free Toyo T1Rs or proxies or whatever they were called. Actually, a guy just sent me the cutting of it about sort of 3 or 4 months ago. It just brought back good memories.
The cutting was the very reason when I read that, I was like, oh, I would love to have you on, because those were the days.
Do you know what, Cooper? Those were the days, and I feel so bad. So there's my nephew. My nephew's 20, and he's into his cars, and he would go to wee meets and stuff like that. But lads, we had the cream of the cars.
We did. We had halcyon days on Sunday nights in Bangor.
Craig, do you remember getting up, like your whole Sunday was planned? You get up in the morning, you have breakfast if you're not hungover, and you clean your car all day. Like, you don't just wash it and sham it and slick the tires. You cleaned everything, and then you went down to Bangor at 4 or 5 o'clock, and you were there until 3 o'clock in the morning. It was, oh, lads, best days ever.
It was outstanding. It really was. And then now, when you take a drive through Bangor on a Sunday night, it's empty. There's nobody there.
Do you remember the bottom car park was literally bung to the gills and it flowed into the top car park, which is bung to the gills, and you just had a solid line around Bangor of cars. There must have been some weeks, there must have been 1,000 cars, maybe 1,200, maybe more.
Easily.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
And drag racing and donuts and car photo shoots from the magazines, and it was just
Out the carriageway and back in, and
yes, I know, because you got your air filter on. You're like, right, John, you're in the 106. Let's go.
Up the road.
Thanks
Up the
for
road.
years, up the road.
performance test.
But how do you go from that, Chris, to deciding, right, I want to open a business like SQD?
Right. So back then, again, let me see if I can put this into like a timeline. So obviously, I've always been brought up in an entrepreneurial family, and all the family like have their own business. So I kind of went down the university route and was studying electrical and electronic engineering at Queen's.
Yeah, because someone on this podcast did it with you.
That's
Me?
right, Coops. So we back then, me and Quinn were always doing our own stereo systems. You know, we were always doing our own thing, and it got to the point where car stereo installs were becoming fiberglass. Now, there's going to be people listening to this and not have a fucking clue what we're talking about. Anyway, what it meant was in your boot, where your speakers and amplifiers were, that instead of having the trim and carpet, it was all smooth and body colored. So we started doing fiberglass boot installs, which meant we had to buy, instead of handing it to someone to paint, me and him thought, well, we'll buy our own compressor, we'll buy our own spray gun, we'll buy our own paint, and we'll start doing it ourselves. And back then, my cousins had Body Tech in Rydalmere Street and Donegal Street. So I went down a couple of Saturdays and learned how to paint. And once we started doing the fiberglass installs, a guy brought us a front splitter and said, a back splitter for a wee Polo. Says, here, paint that for me, would you? Such and such is looking 100 quid. And I will do it for 50. So we painted the spoiler, fitted it on and go, here, this is easy. So then all of a sudden, another guy brought us a bumper and we fitted the bumper and painted it. Here, fuck, this is easy. And literally, boys, it just steamrolled. People started bringing us body kits and everything else. And within like 6 months' time, our car audio business had became an actual flipping car workshop. And after about a year of university and deciding that university was a little shite, which if anybody's listening, it is, we decided to go out on our own and open up a car body shop. And that's when we took the place up on Money Ray up beside my Uncle Bobby's and literally went for it. Now, even though we went for it, I still stayed at uni and I still finished my course. But it was thanks to Deirdre McGinn and Graham Laird and Barry McMenamin, who told me what they thought was going to be on the exams. I passed my exams by not going to university, so it made a complete flipping farce of the university system. But anyway, that's another story. So we got into the AutoWorks or the SQ Design AutoWorks, and history kind of took it from there. And then you know what? It was your website and the forum RMS where we got the vast majority of our work from. And I will still forever this day be forever thankful for all of this. So it put us on the map and it allowed us to showcase what we did. And I remember, like, I'm sure you can flick back through all the different posts. We got really good protection from you guys too, because forums back then, like, it wasn't as bad as it is now with the whole keyboard warrior thing. Like, you know what trolling and stuff's like now. It is awful. But back then, see if somebody came onto the forum and said, I got this painted by SQ Design and it's flipping crap. I had a guarantee that Rocco would have come on, maybe Gary would have come on, and all these guys would have come on and go, actually, no, here, Suitor does great work, and you really protected us as a business. And
Chris, can I interject there just for a second? In a good way.
Go.
You actually painted a guitar for me, if you recall, in B&W Alpine White. And I lugged that thing about for about 10 years doing gigs, and it's been thrown about the room. It's fallen off my wall. I'm pretty sure my son has played tennis with it a few times. There's still not a scratch on it. So I assume you put on 500 coats of lacquer.
Flipping heck,
something.
Oh my goodness. Well, again, most guitars are painted in a polyurethane or a nitro, or what do you call it? Nitrous. It's like a breathable lacquer. Oh, nitro something. But then we would have done it in a PU lacquer, which is hard.
It's really stood the test of time. I will say that. So.
Yeah. Now, if you're a guitar purist guy, there are guitar builders out there that would say that the wood can't breathe through that polyurethane lacquer, so the density of the wood will change over years, therefore your tone will change over years. But we just give them that, don't we? We say, look, it's mint.
Fuck those guys.
Fuck those guys. It's mint, and that's all that matters. So, guys, but you know what? See, back then, like I'll be literally honest with you. We did 9 years at SQ, 7 years as a body shop, and sort of 9 years together as 2 years audio, 7 years audio and body shop. And let me tell you, lads, see in the start, we made shitloads of money. But see, as we got bigger and we took on bigger unit, more overheads, more staff, more problems, and the almost slight divergence or waning in the car modified scene, because all of a sudden in like 2007, 2008, cars were starting to come again with body kits. Like you went and bought an 07 Corsa, you could have it with a front lip, side skirts, spoiler, sportier 20mm lower suspension, 17-inch wheels. And our gig was the fiberglass body kits that people couldn't, normal body shops didn't want to fit. So we started changing our tack then more in the car body, as in accident repair. And lads, see if you get into accident repair, or see once you're into accident repair, it was a nightmare. See chasing insurance companies and oh man. So it ended up the fun went out of it, and the heart went out of it, and it ended up being a struggle to make money at it. And there was enough money in it for one partner rather than me and Quinn. So my dad was retiring out of the Suitor business, and I bought his share out of the family business, and I moved away.
That's some transition. That was.
Do you know what, Coops? It was just literally from being underneath cars with cut hands and lungs that I can't breathe, to standing in a sharp cut suit behind a desk all day. Because here's the thing was, at SQ, it was work, yes, but it was also fun and it was play. We were tuning stuff too. So any bit of money that we got, we were just buying bigger turbos for the Skyline or better wheels or suspension for the Evo. And it was really, really fun. So I then went into a very more strict corporate business world.
And let me pick up on that point just before you move on to the clothing side of things. What motors did you have whilst you were at SQD? So you had Evo, Scooby. What else?
I think over that 9 year period, Cooper. Now, some of them would have been bought to sell, but I had over 100 cars go through my my ownership. If you think now, the picks of the bunch.
So the S14 I sold you, was it?
Oh, flip! Yes, you remember that? Never ran right. It's probably still hasn't ran right since you sold it to me. Oh, flip! I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to pick out ones. Right. So I had a lovely white Evo 5 that we'd done electronics and done the full kit to, and it was one of my favorite cars. My most favorite car, I had a lovely GTR R33. Do you remember I organized a cruise for cancer, and the 33 Skyline out, and there wasn't many GTRs back then, like the new GTR wasn't out, so it was a pretty special car. And then some wee young kid coming up over the brow of a hill in a Honda Civic ran into the back of a Honda Jazz, which then pushed the Jazz right up the arse of my GTR and literally mangled it. And after that, I fell out of love with that. And actually, I didn't even fix it. I sold it damaged. But actually, one of my favorite cars, I had and here's one of those moments where you think, I wish I'd never sold it. I had one of the most mintest E36, a 1995 E36 3-litre M3, one of the last 100 built. It was completely standard, orange indicators, Alcantara interior. It was just like brand new. And again, I had to sell it whenever I was having a baby. And that car nowadays would be 25, 30 grand.
Brilliant cars. I saw your face earlier on when we were talking about the E36 last week or last show. 30 years old those cars are nearly.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
What color was that one, Chris?
It was black. It was Cosmos black. Or hold on.
Nice.
Or was it diamond black? Anyway, it was black of some description. But it was
BMW black.
You think I used to paint them? I didn't even know the code. But I'm just trying to remember whether Cosmos was like the later, like the E46. But anyway, it was beautiful, stunning. And the number plate on it, if you've ever seen it about, the number I put on was M3 UCP. I don't know if it's still on it, but if it's out there, some guy's got a 30 grand M3 now.
Unreal.
But
But I remember the SQD story as well. You did have a show winner in there.
Yes.
In the 350Z.
Do you remember that? Graham, yeah, lovely guy Graham from sort of Castlereagh direction. Yeah, so he brought us a lovely 350Z, and we bastardized it into this enormous wide arch. Flip, it was beautiful. It's like I don't know if it was a V-side kit, but there was a V-side spoiler on it. But anyway, this huge big wide arch kit, and it won a couple of shows and got a front cover of Modified Motors and featured in other bits and pieces. It was great. But you know what? We'd loads of show winners over the years with like Conquer stuff and the V-Dub stuff, but we were always kind of known for the quirkier, crazier fiberglassy stuff. But then again, as I said, lads, come sort of 07, 08, maybe even in 09, that whole market just started disappearing, which is why we had to change tack. But I don't know. Do people still is that still a thing nowadays? Do people still buy body kits for their cars and do them up and
I
stuff?
remember the last time I saw it, although the Tom's body kit for the Yaris GR is really, really nice.
Wow.
It's an angry wee beast.
Do you know of anybody that's getting a Yaris GR, Craig?
Sadly, I do, yes.
Oh, right, okay. I must get a
Bloody Yaris.
Must blow the doors with my fate. Yes.
I don't think body kits are.
I really want to see this Yaris versus this Fiat. This is happening.
I need a challenge.
There's a well-known Northern Irish saying, and it is up the road.
Up the road.
Up the road.
Oh, I can't wait. Here, guys, do you remember? This is going to be a full, what do you call it? Episodic memories type thing. Do you remember the cruises down to Malile? And we drag raced in Malile up the car park. And the car park was the ropiest bit of tarmac. Like it
certainly was.
You wouldn't even find tarmac like that in the dump. It was that bad. And we used to race up and down it. And flip. How we didn't get arrested, lads, I do not know.
I remember taking fast car to Malile after Bangor one night.
Yes.
And we'd cleared it with a guy who'd cleared it with a guy.
Yes.
That we could be there for some fun.
Yes.
And they're still there.
There was some immediate fucking about happened. The guy who had cleared it with the guy came to me and said, "My guy's not very happy. This has to end now."
Oh dear.
Because there's boys and woolly faces coming.
I remember that.
Here. Do you remember?
Holy shit. Time to go.
Rocket, was that whenever you were getting the feature done on the Tigra with the flipping span, the bit of it?
It could very well have been, yeah.
Like, do you remember those days? Like, you have to admit, Weeballs was really good at stuff too. Like,
remember
Weeballs
those
was great.
Here, I've been offered it back, and I'm thinking about buying it.
Rocco, buy it even just for nostalgia, mate.
I'm thinking about buying it back.
This is the Caligra, the famed Caligra.
Yes, the Caligra.
Yeah, the Caligra. Yeah.
Oh man,
the Cali style Vauxhall Tigra pickup truck that we built.
With wooden slats and all in the back of it for a hot tub.
Wooden slat. We got $5,000 to build it, and Lee McRae must have spent about £1,500 on that teak for the back of it. It's boat wood. They put it on boats. Like, yeah. Don't fucking care, Lee. It's a fortune.
Oh my god!
Here, if it was a lazy spa, it would be priceless.
It would be priceless, mate.
Lazy spa would have been easier to build.
Remember the running them last year? Here, last night. I don't know whether you were there at this point because this was getting down the whole dodgier side of things. Do you remember the shed? So the shed was in Antrim.
Location X or something?
Yes, do you remember?
Yes.
So the lads, I'm not going to mention any names, ripped the flipping door up. And then remember, we all drove underneath the door into this disused warehouse where luckily, randomly, they had hoses on the wall and they used to spray the flipping floor with water. And we used to go in our cars and go, by the way, there is a YouTube video of maybe me, not saying it was me, in maybe a Skyline that I might or might not have owned, doing circles with another white Skyline going around me, and we're doing all this fancy different stuff. That was in the shed, and that was unbelievable. And it was so illegal. And I'm sorry if anybody's listening to this and think it's that illegal, but it was brilliant. And that went.
He's the owner of the shed's going on my fucking door.
That's on my door. But you remember that went on for like 2 weeks or something. We had that. And it was every night, and just Skylines and S14s and S13s, and oh Jesus, guys, that was flipping. That was amazing, but so illegal. But anyway, these are the things you do as a kid. I didn't know much better back then. Do you remember the RDS shows in Dublin?
Oh yes, fantastic.
Like, lads, lads, we need the need to happen again so that the kids of today can experience even something like we experienced back then.
It was always a bit of an
times-
adventure, wasn't it? Heading down just to Dublin for like a full weekend.
Oh,
The
Gary,
times we had in
great.
the RDS suit, the times
Flip
we
me.
had.
Do you
in the
remember
RDS.
some of those ropey flipping places we stayed in too, Rocco, and some of the crazy nights in the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness me, lads! Because you know what, like we were rock and roll back then, lads. We really were. You know, you hear of our parents talking about the 60s and 70s. Well, we had the 2000s, and we had the car shows, and it was flip. Remember, I don't know if you remember, I get stuck on top. Remember the horse, the big
Yes.
concrete horse?
Was that outside Bewley's or something? Was it?
That was
Yes.
that was outside Bewley's, and there might have been a few guys near me that might have been smoking a wee bit of weed or something like that. I don't know what it was. And anyway, I got up on top of that horse, right? And whatever had happened with that, I just couldn't get back down.
The horse got very big all of a
The
sudden.
horse
from
got
memory.
huge, and I was like, "Holy shit! I'm on the top of a building and I can't get down! Help!" And people were just standing there laughing. "Where's your man, Suitor? Oh, he's a dickhead." So, oh my goodness.
On reflection, you were about 6 feet off the ground.
See, when you look at it now, honestly, I was at it. Maybe I went there. We stayed there maybe sort of 6 years ago, and I went and looked at this thing. It's like head height. Do you know what I mean? It's like flipping head height. You're like going, no way. They've cut that down. Have you cut that down? That used to be 20 foot tall, and I was up it. So,
Or even worse, it's not a horse.
I know it's not even a horse.
It was those were great times. They really were.
Really?
We did some wonderfully stupid shit, but it was always we always laughed ourselves fucking sore.
Do you know what too, Craig? The community, the entire car, there was no animosity, there was no fighting, there was no bickering, there was nothing apart from maybe Andy Cooper and John 44.
I was going to say, apart from that.
apart from that, so apart from another rival forum that there might have been out there, but in generally friendships, relationships, mate, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there was never anything political. There was never anything about what side you're from or in that shit. You know, you just went out, had a great time with people, chatted about cars. Nothing else was ever mentioned or brought into it.
It was, Gary, it was
just mixed.
Yes, it was it was the way it should be. And again,
Exactly.
This is actually coming from the chat I had on Friday there with my brother. So my wee nephew, Ryan, he's a great kid, but doesn't have a huge social circle of friends. Right? He's got a couple of good friends, right? And I was just telling him about how my entire social circle for like 10 years was only based around cars. Like I don't see anybody from uni. I don't see anybody from secondary school. All my friends, like even still to this day, all my best friends are from the car community. And I was saying to Ryan, like if the kid, if he gets into this, if he gets his wee Barth and he tunes it up and can get into like a wee club and all like that, and if they still do car meets, it's a bloody great fraternity. And I'd push any kid to get into it. Because dear lads, wouldn't you rather, this is the way my dad seen it back in the day, wouldn't you rather the kids were out spending their money tuning their cars or making them better than out blowing it and drink and flipping drugs and all that sort of stuff?
You had no money to go on the piss.
No, back in our day, you were saving for the new spoiler or the center section of the D-Cat or the new gear knob or the white dials. You know, you were saving, and then when you got it, it was like a whole big fuck. Come on, check out my dials. Check out my white.
It reminds
dials.
me of this thing. It used to be a bit of a stigma, you know, but the boy racer. But the boy racer probably took better care of his car than, you know, an average car on the road.
Definitely. Like all our cars got everything they ever needed, including new tires every Monday morning.
East of the Ban, anyway.
But yes, right.
You're absolutely right, Chris. Like friends for life.
Friends for life, mate. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And for someone like myself, who was not the most outgoing person, but I built RMS because I wanted somewhere for people to come together online between the events and all the rest. And then sure, look where it is now. It's just unbelievable.
It's just rocketed, mate. So yeah, back here, you're asking about the cloth. So yeah, got into the tailoring after that. And guys, again, it was my demeanor. I'm able to kind of switch off and switch on very, very quickly. So literally left the body shop, signed everything over to Quinn on say Friday night, Saturday morning. Started work in the men's shop on the Monday morning. Never looked back. Not even once. Yeah, good move. And since then, I was getting married, or was I married? shit, was I married? Yes, I was married. Nicola was pregnant with Ava. And you know what, lads? I just needed a change of scene because I was spending every hour God sent up in the body shop. Because do you know what happened? See, by the time you'd fucked about so much, you actually didn't get any work done, right? And it was simply a little boy's playground in my workshop. It was a food like I'd arrived there maybe 9, half 9 in the morning. You'd have got your tea to 10 o'clock. You'd have maybe started stripping something to half 10. Then a whole load of boys would land in their Subarus and their Evos, whatever else. Then you'd have a load of chat about 12. Then you'd drive down to Country Fried and get a kebab. Then you'd come back up and about half 1, you'd maybe flip and screw something else off. Then, do you know what? By the time 4 o'clock, you've done no work. Then everybody buggered off home. And then you worked from 5 to 11 at night trying to catch up on the work you should have done. It was ridiculously unprofessional. But I needed a change of scenery. And it just, with the timings with Dad and all the rest of it, just worked out well. And lads, never looked back. And I went into the family business and was told at the start, here, Christopher, this isn't broke, so don't fix it. And lads, the rest is history. I fixed it. So yeah, it was good. I just seen a lot of potential, and I thought I could add a lot of value to it from a lot of different angles, from a marketing perspective and from the bespoke perspective, and just kind of my, the wee business was still ticking over well, but it maybe just got a little bit stale, and it was just kind of ticking along. Whereas I seen a huge amount of potential in the business, and it took me about a year, maybe year and a half. Because to be fair, lads, like I'm a respectful guy. I respected my father's wishes and my brother's wishes, particularly because William was the senior partner. He allowed me to buy into the business. He could have said no. I was his wee brother. We got on great, but he could have just went, "You're the wee brother, fuck off." So, but no, he let me in, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I towed the line for about a year and a half, and then I just went on my rampage to make it what it is nowadays, and make it probably as famous a men's tailoring shop in Northern Ireland as there is. So,
were they always doing celebrities? Like
nope.
Before you were doing snooker players, or
nope, not a one.
No Higgy or any of those?
Not a single.
Not a sausage.
So again, as social media started to take off and to get a bit of traction, I started my Twitter up, and Twitter was going really well, and I seen value in influencer marketing. And like, this is back before influencers were influencers. There was not even a name for them. And I seen value in celebrities promoting your product and stuff like that. Like I remember whenever Michael Conlan was really probably the first big star that it came to us. And I remember telling my bro, like we dressed him for an RTE gig before he was even pro. And I remember telling my bro, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this. What is it?" He says, "See Michael's suit?" "Yep." I just gave it to him. "What the fuck do you mean you just gave it to him? What, you know what I mean? But that's fucking 300 quid, and that's shirt was 100. That's 500. And I said, "Willie, trust me, this will be good." And literally he fell out with me, like proper fell out with me. And but anyway, he went on to RTE, and the influx of business we got after Michael Conlan went on to RTE wearing our stuff was unbelievable. And then 2 weeks later, Carl Frampton picked up the phone and phoned me. "Chris, see what you did with Michael. My suits fit like fuck all. Can you help me out?" I was like, "Frampton, for you, anything, son." And he came in, and literally after Frampton then came in, like this was in about a 2-3 week period, the whole thing, just the whole gates just opened. Because as you know, Michael Conlan, huge star, huge name. Carl Frampton, probably bigger star, bigger name. The fact that the two of them were coming to me, people were now starting to say, "Well, why are they going to him?" And that kicked the whole thing off, lads, and it's just snowballed ever since. I'm like, we've dressed some cool people, like some really cool people.
It's an absolute credit to you, Chris, and the fact that surely there's something that you took from SQD and brought that, surely, because surely even then when you had guys coming around just before you're going to Country Fried Chicken for your kebab and you're standing around talking, but it's all about the social side of things. It's all about the people, and then you were just picking, well, who do these people like, and all the rest, and we'll talk to them, because that will just gives everyone the feel good factor.
Cooper, do you know what? It totally was, and it was the exact same with SQ. I tried to just put my personality into the business. So rather than it being a business, it became about the people. And you're so right. I try to go over and above for everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, what you're buying, or whatever. And the local celebs, they're just normal guys. This is what we've got to remember. They're just normal guys, like us guys sitting here talking, and they just really appreciated somebody that, use a Northern Irish term, is dead on. You know, and I was just really dead on to them and made them, you know, didn't lick their arse, was funny with them and made them feel at home and made them feel part of the family. And that's actually what I would have done up at SQ2. And it's part of why we weren't so successful, but we were quite successful, because people they kind of just, here, if you need a bumper painted, here, go and get Suitor to paint it. You know, he's dead on. He'll paint it for you. And, you know, that's what I brought that then to the men's shop and just put the personality out there.
I remember standing in your shop, and Jonathan Ray walked past me, handed you his Rolex and went, "Here, Chris, will you sort that out for me?" And just turned on his heels and walked back out the door. Then just standing there with my mouth open going, what has just happened?
Dear. And again,
that's,
Craig,
that's
you know
the Superbike champion just handed him a fucking Rolex.
CJR, out of them all, he is Frampton's. It's hard to beat now. Frampton's hard to beat, but JR is just. He is just the most loveliest man. He's the loveliest human being. And like we've actually became proper personal close friends out of the whole situation. Like we stay in his house and we go away together. And I guess, you know, he's an absolute flipping, he's a superstar. And again, but just like us now, lads, he is Rocco. He's just like me talking to you now. Andy, Chris, Gary, he's just one of the lads. It just so happens, instead of selling suits for a living, he races motorbikes for a living, and he just happens to be really fucking good at it.
Unbelievable.
Oh, he's unbelievable. He is literally unbelievable. Yeah, like see, particularly with the boxing, like you think of it, we kind of flew the flag for making a boxing press conference a show. Like it was me dressing all, because at that, going back then, sort of 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, like we had the cream of the crop. Frampton was flying, Conlon was coming through, Paddy Barnes was flying. You know, you had a real hot local squad that was going out across all the different TV channels and stuff like that. And because I was dressing them and putting them in the most beautiful suits, you started to see other boxers want this. And then then all of a sudden it just became a thing, that press conference, you went and got a suit for the press conference. You know, whereas before I did that, before I started dressing them, they just wore tracksuits, or maybe some of them wore a suit to wear to court. Do you know, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
So we kind of changed the mold that way too. And to be fair, the men's industry was changing at that time, thanks to one guy and one guy only, and it's a Mr. Conor McGregor. And I
was about to mention him. He always seemed to be turning up in suits, you know, when the other guys, as you say, wearing track suits and shell suits and whatnot.
Gary, he changed our entire, like he physically himself changed the entire men's industry in the world. Like that is something that goes unsaid about Conor McGregor. He literally, like one of the oldest industries in human existence, which is clothing and men's clothing in particular. Conor McGregor changed it himself. This wee lad from Crumlin, Dublin, changed the flipping world, and I'll be forever thankful. Like I must send you. I've still a copy of me commenting on. Do you remember when Rory McIlroy won the US Open back in 2014? Maybe, or was it? And was it 20? Couldn't have been 2011. Anyway, whatever it was, and he did a tour in Old Trafford, right? And he wore this checked suit. And he literally got destroyed by the media about this checked suit, that he looked like Rupert the Bear and all this kind of stuff.
Remember that?
They came, you know, the BBC, actually the national BBC came to me, because I was from here and I was a tailor, and came to me to comment on it. And I went down commenting, like, and I even, quote unquote, from that, I even said it wouldn't be what I would have worn, right? And I did mention that it was a nice suit and it was well made and all this, blah, 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 blah. But I put back then, I wouldn't have worn that suit. Yet within about a year and a half, after Conor McGregor started wearing checked suits, every flipping suit in every shop in the world was checked. And that's the McGregor factor. So, you know, that along with then the tailoring aspect of things, and boxers being super cool, and Frampton particularly becoming a big worldwide, you know, double world champion superstar, that kind of floated us. And then all of a sudden, all the other guys started coming. Yeah, because I've done Ronnie O'Sullivan, we've done loads of snooker. We make all Jimmy White stuff. So Ronnie O'Sullivan, Mark Allen, Jordan Brown. Let me see, Alan Taylor. We've got jeepers, we've got Sean Murphy's coming up the minute open up. So the snooker end of things good. And then in rugby, we've got Rory Best and Stevie Ferris, and make all Tommy Bowe stuff. Footballer wise, I do all the Northern Ireland football team, and personally, I do Stephen Davis's and Stuart Dallas and Kyle Lafferty and like all those guys, Aaron Hughes and Big G Mac. It's been.
I saw a photo the other day of Callum Best that flashed up on Facebook somewhere.
Yeah, made Callum Best a load of stuff. He's an absolute gentleman of a boy. Like he gets a bit of a hard time because of the whole Georgie Best thing and stuff, but he is an utter gentleman. And honestly, I couldn't say a better word about Callum Best. So like it's like, and that's just, guys, that was just being smart with the PR, because I seen it for a lot of those guys. Now, see if the guys were able to put my logo, like say on their shorts or something, I gave them the stuff, right? So the likes of Carl and all the rest, they just get given their suits. So, and all that PR and publicity only cost me the cost of the suit. But whereas with a lot of the other higher profile guys that were coming to me, I was just charging them half price. So I get covered for the cost of a lot of the cost of the stuff, and all the PR and marketing was cost neutral.
But
So,
I think you're underselling yourself here, Chris. You're single-handedly elevating what our sports stars in Northern Ireland look like on TV, out and about the place. That putting Northern Ireland on the map. Look how smart and well turned out these guys are. You're doing more than that.
Yeah, and that, as you're right, that is the truth. Like even whenever JR was on Sports Personality of the Year, and he came out wearing this really slick black suit that we made him out of silk, and it was just class. And like, do you remember he actually rode a superbike up onto the, like he phones me, like the trousers were made neat because he wanted them nice and neat, and like he's a cyclist and he wanted it all sharp cut. And he phones me when he's over in the BBC studios and he goes, Suitor, they want me to ride a fucking motorbike up onto the stage. Will this suit rip? And I was like, JR, yes, it will. So, but he said, what can I do? He said, well, I don't know. You can't take your trousers off. So he literally had to, you'll see him actually getting off it quite kind of gingerly, just waiting for his trousers to pop open on national TV. Flip, that would have been a death knell for my shop. But flip, just class it. And Ryan Burnett, I have to mention Ryan Burnett too. Ryan Burnett is probably. He's probably again one of the nicest guys. Do you know what? Every one of them. There's not a one of them. All the rugby players, all the footballers, every one they're just guys. They're just lovely. I can't say better words about them. They really are.
I'm still waiting on the Ryan Burnett fight.
Which one? Oh, between me and him.
Between you and him.
Do you remember that? That actually got me into the gym, Rock. Do you remember I started going to the gym and all?
Oh, what?
7:00 in the morning, lifting weights. But and then I got back into the burgers and just like fucking gym. So Ryan's got his own gym and stuff up there now in Antrim, and he's flying. He's doing really well. But it was sad what happened to him, lads, because
it was pretty horrendous.
Literally out of again, just to fill you in if you don't know. So Ryan Burnett, he was double world champion bantamweight. And he entered into this winner takes all event called the WBSS, and he would have if he probably would have won it. There's a guy in his weight class called the New A who's probably unbeatable. Ryan would have got to the final and had a real good go at it anyway. But in the semi-final or the quarterfinal, he pulled a muscle in his back. He ripped a muscle off his hip flexor or something in the fight and had to retire.
Yeah.
And in other words, it actually cost him his career. It was an unrepairable tear.
It was horrendous to watch.
Horrendous
to see.
You think all those years of boxing, he was homeless at one point. He had no house. He had nowhere to live. He lived out a bit of a car, like literally without exaggerating. He was homeless. And Adam Booth took him in and trained him up to be a double world champion. And then for it all just to go in a bang, and that's it all over. But Ryan, for me, by the way, lads, is the most talented out of them all. Ryan's talent was just on a fucking level, boys. But here, c'est la vie. And it's just, it's the hand you're dealt. You just got to play it.
I have to say, I was looking forward to him giving you a bit of a digging, to be honest.
A bit of a battering. I know, mate. I know. And, here, from that, Rocco, that I ended up going into the boxing MC. I'm a pretty professionally licensed boxing MC.
Professionally licensed MC?
Yes. You have to go through a whole interview process and all. And you go in front of the British Boxing Board of Control, and they ask you questions and everything. You're looking for, yep, okay, yeah. And then they issue you your license if you're good enough. So
what were the questions for that?
More or less, number one, you need to have an idea of boxing as a sport. Okay, so they ask you plenty of kind of boxing-esque stuff, so that you're not just standing in there and not knowing what's going on. And then they kind of almost get you to do a dummy run of what you're going to say, and you have to then explain that you understand weights and belts and like countries and where they're from, and you just have to kind of show what you're talking about. So yeah.
Did you have a let's get ready to rumble moment?
Well, mine's That's Us Now, mate.
That's us now.
Mine is That's Us Now. Yeah. So, man, by the way, lads, because of COVID, I've only got to do one show. So there's only been ever one That's Us Now. So, but it's flip, it was great. Oh, fucking just remember that, so you can remember too. It's the final event. Now, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? I said, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Because that's us 9. It's fighting in the red corner, fighting on a Dublin. It's, and then you go into the whole thing, and oh lads, it was just, and because it was in the Devonish, and all the like there was 1,200 people or something, and they all were waiting on it, and the roar and stuff it got. It was, lads, I tell you, the flipping sweat was running down my back. It was flipping, because see, when I got there, this is another thing that I didn't know. See, when I got to that event, I presumed that like the Boxing Board of Control just handed you the list of everything you need to know. The boxers, their weights, their record, who they're fighting, and just go, there you go, Chris, go and read it out. Is it fuck? You literally get to the show and they just go, Chris, there's the microphone. And you go,
holy shit.
Right. So I got there. The show was starting at 7:30. Me being late as always. I got there at 7:10. And they literally just went, Chris, there's the microphone. On you go. Have you got it all sorted? And I was like, got what all sorted? Have you got all the fights and all sorted? I was like, no. Have you not got them? He says, no, we don't do it. You do it. You're the MC. Like, guys, you're fucking joking me. And they go, yes. Do you even know who's fighting who? And it's like, no. I've spent the last hour doing my hair. I'm sick. You know what I mean? This is my big event. What do you mean? I know what's going on. She goes, well, here, you may fucking get working, because the first guy's in the ring at 7:30. So anyway, I had to get on the Google. What they did do, they gave me the matchups. So it's A versus B, C versus F, and give me the matchups. I had to look up who the guys were, where they were from, what's their record, what's their weight, go and see the guy from the weigh-in, get their weights, what they weighed in. I had to do all that in 20 minutes. I only got about 4 fights done in the 20 minutes. And then as each fight was going on, I was scribbling and panicking and getting everything. And thankfully, lads, apparently, I don't think I made any mistakes, but apparently the judges said I made one little small mistake where a guy was weighing in at like 8 pound, 6 and 12 ounces or whatever. And I reversed one of the numbers or something. But yes, that was a very big flipping burst into that scene. That was just dropped from a height. Boom. And I was way to my depth, lads, way to my depth. But do you know what? Knuckle down, got stuck in, pulled it off, and it was flipping brilliant. And I can't wait. Actually, can't wait to get back in and do it again. It was really, really good fun. Like,
and that's not the only thing that you've been emceeing at various things. So you did the build show. That was in the old B&Q building, wasn't it?
I'm trying to think, did I do it twice? Was there 2 of them?
Yeah, I think there was.
I think there was 2 of them, Coops. I think I did it twice. I think so. But here, it was a great car show, and because I was out of the car industry for so long, it was really nice just getting back into it and seeing people and seeing how the tech and how the quality and stuff has moved on, and just what people are now doing in the car scene. And you know what? Yeah, that kind of gave me a wee bit of a tickle for it again, and it's really only coming into fruition now. And I think, as I told you before the start of the show, on Wednesday, I'm going down to buy a 595 Fiat Abarth, which for all you lads that are listening know it is a 1.4 turbo, 135 horsepower. And I'm going to take it to a place in Dundonald, spin, and I'm going to Cooper's Yaris out of the water. Up the road.
Up the road.
Up the road.
Up the road. So here, when did the DJing come in? Did that come before the MC and after? When the big hat?
August 2019. So big into my Instagram, as you know, and every morning on Instagram, I try to lift people up, give it my whole get up, get at it, try and inspire people. That's kind of my wee thing to the world every.
You're searching for the hero inside yourself.
Correct. Oh, what a tune! Might play it later on. Yeah. So, and I used to overlay my Instagram stories with trance music, and person after person would send me a message. Chris, what's that track? Do you have a Spotify playlist? What's that music? Who's this? What's that? And I just got to the point where, do you know what? I don't even have Spotify. I don't even know what Spotify is. Spotify playlist. Here, why don't I just get some decks and be a DJ, and I'll mix it all together for them? And lads, honestly, within about a week of me deciding I'm going to do this, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it sometime in the future. I'm going to be a DJ. A guy called Michael Brennan landed into the shop to get a suit. He owned Betty Black's.
Betty Black's.
Betty Black's. And I was talking to him, Michael, wonder could you get me a gig in your club? He says, what do you mean? He says, I want to be a DJ. He says, well, what sort of stuff do you want to play? He says, I want to play trance music. He says, hold on a minute. I look at his phone. I have NI Trance Family playing at my place in 2 weeks' time. Do you know on that bill? I was like, what? I was like, Michael, this is only a chat between me and he. He says, what are you fucking about for? Just do it. And I was like, do you know what? Yes, I am going to do it. And we made the decision there and then. He got on the phone to Hugh from NI Trance Family, says, Hugh, I want you to do me a favor. Put this guy Suitor on your bill. He's only starting out, but he wants to play in a club. Can you sort it? And Hugh goes, I know, Suitor. Yeah, put him on. And that was it, lads. And literally within the next 2 weeks, I bought all the gear, learned how to DJ, went down to that nightclub and had an absolute flipping ball. And you can watch it on YouTube. If you go into YouTube and search for from 0 to 138 BPM, there's a wee documentary that a guy did on it. He followed me around doing all the bits and pieces, and you can see the crack, lads. Let me tell you, that was spectacular. And since then, I've kept it on, and like I've DJ'd. I supported Ian Van Dahl, supported Judge Jules, Kieran McCauley, who is my hero in the DJing world. I was on his bill for New Year's Eve. Who else have I played with? I played with loads of people, and again, that just came through. See, building relationships with people over the years. What you find, or what I've found, see, when you're really nice to people and you help people and you go above and beyond, as I've always done in every one of my businesses, it eventually comes back to you. And that was Michael. That whole thing with Michael just set me off in that one go, got me in with those guys, and all of a sudden, bish bash bosh, and other people came in too and got me into their club, and it ended up by getting a proper club gig out of it. So I had a regular spot in a club called 14 in Belfast. And before COVID hit, I just signed up for another one in Liquor, like doing a real sort of funky disco Latin vibe. And so the DJ, and like I was getting paid for it. You get paid for it. I was doing this for free. I was like, I don't want your money. And like they would come up at the end and go, there's your wage. I don't fucking want your money. They go, no, you have to take your money. There's your money. And I was like, all right then. So, and again, this thing was, and this is one thing I learned within the DJing fraternity. See, if you do gigs for free, they frown upon you, because it's undervaluing
you're giving it away.
Craft,
yes.
Right? So, and I learned that very, very quickly. And one thing again with me, I'm a team player. You know, I'm not one of those guys that wants to go out in his own and just be a cock. So I was like, right, see, if that's what you do, that's what you do. There's my price. If you want me to DJ in your club,
yep,
that's what I am. And got a lot of respect for that. And yeah, so guys, flipping get paid for it too, and you get paid for the MCing. You get paid for the boxing MCing too.
Unbelievable.
Swear to God, I'm gonna buy a Yaris some days. GR maybe. But
only if you want something quick.
But look, lads, honestly, I just get things in my head and just kind of want to flip and go for them. So the DJing thing has stuck. Like I DJ a lot, and then whenever COVID hit, the first COVID, I started DJing every single night at 7:00, and back then there was no laws through Facebook and no laws through Instagram, and like flip me, my first live gig had like 1,400 viewers watching it consistently, and then after that our Facebook started changing the algorithm, and Instagram started changing, and all of a sudden it started dropping, and by the sort of the second, third week we were down to about 800, then it went to sort of 200, and then 40, and then you're lucky to get 40 or 50, 60 people nowadays. But even on the Instagram, I Instagram live every Sunday night, and you're lucky because the algorithm hates live music, so it hides your story from people. But I'm lucky to get 25, 30, 35, 40 people watching. But you know what, lads? I still do it because I love it, and I get real value and feedback from it. And like, see if there's only 1 or 2 or 3 people watching, if I'm making them smile, they're making me smile, and that's what it's all about for me.
Well, look, mate, keep her lip. It's absolutely awesome. So here, tell us about the coffee. So we were talking about the coffee earlier. 11-11.
11-11. So that right. So hold on a second. Right. So obviously married to the lovely Nicola. Have 2 kids, Ava and Lewis. And Nicola is a self-employed yoga teacher. And her yoga, as you can imagine from COVID, has been ridiculously slow. She obviously does a wee bit of online, but it's look, lads, see, whenever we get back open, I think people are going to be maybe a little bit more apprehensive to go to a yoga studio because it's literally the worst place you could be for COVID. It's in a confined space. You're close. You're breathing an awful lot. You know, the air in a yoga studio must be fucking terrible. But so we decided, right, well, let's look at something else for Nicola. She'll still keep her yoga going and she'll do her private stuff and our clinical stuff and all that. But let's look at a different angle. And Nicola has backed anything I've ever wanted to do. Nicola has had my back. And she is the easiest going wife. She gives me a hard time. She's a wee slabber every now and again. But she literally has my back no matter what I want to do. She is there for me. So the whole coffee thing is her baby. And I'm going to give it 101% to make it happen for her. And so she always wanted a coffee shop. I wasn't prepared to go to the length of a coffee shop because I obviously understand a lot of business and we just don't have the time and the ability to run a good coffee shop. But what we do have is the time and ability to run a really successful coffee truck. So we are building the cutest little coffee truck that the world has seen at the minute. I should have it finished in about 2 weeks' time. But while that coffee truck was being built, because one of my fabricators took an epically long time to do stuff, we'll mention no names, we came up with our own, rather than serve other people's coffee, again, this is kind of me just trying to put my stamp on everything. It's a bit like with the suits. You know, rather than sell other people's suits, I just started making, I found a company that would make our own. So whenever you see Carl Frampton in one of my suits, no one else in the world has it. It is made only for Carl Frampton. So we brought the whole bespoke end of things from the, we actually brought the whole bespoke end of things from the car body shop because we were making one-off cars to the suit game where we're making one-off suits to now the coffee game where we're making one-off coffees. So we came up with our own roast called 1111. We used guys in Newcastle called Sleeper, and they developed it for us to our taste. We gave them a taste profile and say, right, we want to be able to charge this amount for it, but we want it to taste like this. And they brought together the most beautiful Colombian and Ugandan blend that has caramel notes and chocolate notes and hazelnuts and like a lovely fruit finish to it. It is just, lads, it is just to die for. So anyway, we're going to be serving our own coffee and then our own treats out of the truck. So it'll be completely unique, and we hope that people will come and support us and come from all over just to try our coffee. And by the way, wee bit of a sneak preview that I haven't even spoken about before online is that we are not going to be serving flat whites, Americanos, cappuccinos, lattes, all that sort of stuff. You're going to get 3, maybe 4 choices of coffee the way we want to serve it, and it's take it or leave it. It's like, see, if you want one of our coffees, that's the way you're drinking it. If you don't like it, go to Starbucks. Perfect. So we're gonna really try and cut our own furrow on this, and just, you know, because like see if you're a latte drinker, our taste profile within the coffee bean gets diluted too much because there's too much milk. And we don't want people to taste our latte and go, I don't really like that. We want them to taste I'm not going to tell you what they're going to be called, but yeah, our Suitor, our 1111 in 3 particular sizes. So we're going to do something pretty cool, and it's going to ruffle a few feathers within the coffee industry. But look, it's just the way we want to do it, and that's just that.
Well, Chris, have you got a name for the van?
As in a name for the van, as in like a personal name?
A personal name for the truck, yet. Because I know you have the float boat.
Got the float boat. Oh, I love the float boat. The float boat, by the way, for anybody listening, is an old 2004 Chrysler Voyager with loads of dents and dings on it that I use as a van and use as just the family car. I love it. Literally love it.
Was it a Chrysler Voyager that was in the Jackal? Remember Bruce Willis had one, and then it was red, and then he power hosed it and it was white.
Yeah.
It had a big automatic shotgun in the back of it. Anyway, sure you don't, Chris.
I haven't seen it. No, but I do have other shotguns in it. Let me think. No, I haven't got a name for. Do you know what, Rocco? That's actually really good.
Need to get a name.
By the way, I'm calling you Rocco. By the way, are you still Rocco on RMS?
I am. Yes.
Oh, yes.
People think that's my actual name.
Have you all kept your same handle?
Yeah.
Well, mine's Cooper. RMS Corolla was a wee bit dated. It's a wee bit 2001.
I suppose it's going to be. Is it going to be RMS Yaris now? Is it?
Maybe it might be something else.
RMS GR. So,
Something
oh
else.
my God. Yeah.
I've changed mine to Dave.
Gary's real name.
Just Dave.
Just Dave. I'll flip here.
Dave. All right, Dave.
Here, see, going back to the forum. Flip. I used to have a run-in with a load of, or not a load of guys, but a couple of guys. Oh, jeepers. Oh, some names. Something Pug 106, was it? Or Mr. 106? Was there a Mr. 106?
Oh, yeah.
There
Mr.
was
106 with
many,
the
many
Chin
years.
106.
Who
Yeah.
was he?
Daryl, you called it?
It's from Lisbon, wasn't he? And he had,
Mhm.
he had a 106, which was meant to be a 1.1 or something, but everyone said it was massively chin, but it was like the worst kept secret.
Yes, because it wasn't, because it was a 1.1.
BTR pace.
Oh, flip.
Those were the days.
Those were the flipping days, mate.
Well, here, coffee will bring the car lovers out, because that's what we live for now, is a Cars and Coffee. We want to come and support you guys 100%.
Well, you tell us,
Absolutely.
Crooks, you tell us when the next car meet is, and I will be there, mate. The Suitor coffee truck will just be there. I don't know where it is, but it will be there. And that will be, honestly, I didn't bring our wee flipping Fiat 500 club too at the same time.
Awesome.
Do you still do car meets like?
Oh, well, RMS doesn't, but we go to all sorts of stuff. And there's cars, there's like the Down Royal Cars and Coffee. I think ILB Drivers Club, they're starting a bi-monthly thing. There's all sorts, but it's coffee. Cars and Coffee is now the big thing. I don't know if like Caffeine and Machine in England is massive.
Wow.
Like a Cars and Coffee thing is just it's just the way that, I'm not sure that suits our age profile too. A Sunday morning 10 till 2 or something like that, there down for a wee coffee, look around cars, grumble.
Lads, the flipping the creative juices are flowing, as are the emotions. We are going to bring back Bangor Car Park, Cars and Coffee.
We're going to bring it back.
I am going to bring the Suitor coffee truck to Bangor Car Park at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, and you tell the entire world to be there.
Let's do it.
Do you know what, Rocco, would not be class?
I'm going to break out the Bangor Cruise jacket.
Would not be class. Yes, we are going to redo Bangor Cruise. And do you know what? And no joke, I could do that on a regular. I could do that every fucking week, and we could really flip and stir the loins and bring this back.
Rocco's going to roll up in the Calligra.
Flip.
The chin's blaring.
Come on,
I
Craig.
can't only imagine what sort of shape it's in.
Craig, where is it?
Remember?
Where is it?
It's lying in a shed up the country somewhere.
So, has it still got the wheels? Is it still complete?
It's still complete. The guy said it didn't turn a wheel from when it rolled off the trailer. He rolled it into the shed, closed the door, and it's been sat there ever since.
My goodness. So it probably just needs a bit of body work and a wee bit of flipping pipes changed.
Yeah. Need a bit of
overhaul.
A wee bit of an overhaul, yeah. But I mean, there couldn't be any rust because it's all 95%
isopon. Here, do you remember your focus with the triangles up the side?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, mate.
That was an absolute beast. What the fuck was I thinking?
We thought we were the dog's ball. Like I had a 106.
Bollocks.
106 painted 3 different colors, and like nowadays it would look like a cotton shot. But again, I thought I was the dog. Do you remember? I don't know if you ever heard the story about that. So back then, I was in learning how to do this stuff with a guy called Paul Dunstan, who was Stealth Creations.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people on the forum can do a search on Stealth Creations and read all about Paul. And anyway, my 106 was red, and we'd fitted the body kit to it and smoothed all the bits and pieces in. It was looking great. And I left him one night. I'd bought the paint. It was getting painted a Nissan red. So not even the Peugeot red, like a Nissan red. And I left it with him and came back the next day. And to set the present, he had a 206 at the time, painted 3 different colors. So it went from like silvery blue, like an Alfa Romeo flip color, into gold, into purple. Well, Paul that night took a shitload of drugs and decided to paint my 106 the exact same as his fucking 206. So I arrived in the next day to see my beautiful red gleaming 106, to see this fucking 106 painted the same as his. And I was going, oh, Suitor, I just thought it would be class if we had this, when we went to car shows and it was the same as mine. I said, Paul, I wanted a fucking red. And he's like, well, but it's meant there's nothing I can do now. Well, I'm not painting it red for you. And I was like, all right then. All right, I actually quite like it. And that was how the 106 Mr. 3-tone came about. And do you know what, boys? I thought it was, I loved it. I thought it was a dog's balls. As did you, Rocco, with your
yeah.
triangles.
Those were you could get away with stuff like that. I think as you said earlier on, the keyboard warriors would just pull you to pieces now.
Yeah.
Whereas back then you didn't give a shit.
But then Gary,
Remember
you always had good stuff. You were always like one of the posh ones. Like you always had really good
No,
stuff.
no, I wasn't posh.
Mint
but I was-
M3s.
M3s and 325i Sports,
I was-
Yeah.
I was
VTI
probably more
Civics and all.
probably- I didn't go for Larry stuff. I wasn't brave enough, if anything, you know.
Is it because you always had faster, better stuff than we had?
That's
Yeah,
right.
so I don't know about that.
It's like we're just cruising. I'm cruising about my 1300 Corolla, and there's you rolling in your 16 VTEC EK Civic, just blowing us. You got an induction kit, and then you hit $5,500. Bam! You're like bastard.
Do you remember?
Induction kits give you 100 brake.
Do you
Do.
remember
Fact.
VTEC and how obsessed we all were with VTECs? Like if you were like Gary and you had a VTEC, you were literally a god. You were worshipped like a god in Bangor Car Park.
As soon as you heard it come on cam, you're like,
That's it.
what?
It was and
Unreal.
the wee bit from the roundabout to the entrance, and it was all about how many flipping baps could you get in. First going, and the brakes. Oh, it was great.
These guys were all ordering, remember, what was the thing? The VTEC controller that you got from
Yes.
America, and you could lower the
Pepsi.
point.
Yes.
You could lower the point of the VTEC cut in. It was like VTEC Viagra. You know, these guys were just going out the motorway, and it was cutting in 3,000 revs, and they're going crazy.
It's just so good.
This is like going back 20 years. It's just it's so
Trip down
strange.
memory lane.
It really is.
But here,
It's
lads,
just so strange.
have you had any like nostalgic feelings where you want, like, you know, we're talking about the Caligra there, where you want to have what you had when you were a kid? Like, I would nearly go and buy a 106 and paint it 3 colors, you know, and like, you know, to try and replicate what, you know, the way you get when you get the any age, you get the near 40 as we all are, right? And you have a few quid and you can now afford to start fucking around a wee bit. Well, hopefully, you know what I mean? You can start messing around with stuff, and like I definitely need to have a full midlife crisis. I'm brewing one like at the minute.
I say to my wife, whole life crisis, but then she says, well, sure, what means that your life's over?
Well, Cooper,
It's a whole life crisis.
Cooper,
But
you've never grown up.
No, absolutely not. Always in trouble.
But the thing is, I wonder if there's a better rose tinted glasses, because, you know, if you go and drive something from the 90s now that was a hot hatch, it would probably feel dead slow, like a modern diesel, which had over it.
You know,
Or you just talking about buying a car to do it up or something like that.
You're so right. See, once TDIs and the TDIs started coming in, and people just you whacked the tuning box onto it, it kind of ruined everything for us, didn't it? Because, you know, 130 brake horsepower in our day was quite a lot of horsepower, and it was, you know, if you had an 8 or 9 second to 60 car, like, it was a fast wee car. Then all of a sudden you just brought out a 130 Golf TDI and stuck a tuning box on it, and people were just blowing your doors off with big black smoke.
Kevin Daly.
Oh, Daly, do you remember? Oh, Jesus, some of the stuff me and him got up to. Oh my God.
His golf was unbelievable. But here, I totally disagree. See, if someone rolled into my driveway today with an EK Civic VTEC, I would be like, give me a go. Give me a go. Because you just want to hear that.
Oh, class. And the feeling of it just going, I used to think this was fast.
Yeah. Oh, I think if you
I think you're going to get it back, Andy. I think you're going to get it back with this GR.
I see the GR.
I think it's going to come flooding back.
It just felt like a complete hooligan. Absolutely amazing.
What are you, old school?
Do you know what, Andy too? But the look of them, solid investment. Like, if they're going to be hard to get, my God, you'll buy it and probably make money on it after a year. That's if you want to sell it.
Order one now, and you'll be lucky to get it at the end of next year.
Wow.
And I think they'll sell. I'm surprised. I don't know if you've seen them on Top Gear, but they're pretty much sold out. And I'm gutted. I gutted I can't play the pub piano. I'm going to get the pub piano going for next time. Did you see the last Top Gear? It was fantastic.
No, what's it about?
So well, first of all, this most recent series of Top Gear has been amazing. We flipping wax lyrical about it in the last show, but one of the segments was $6,000, go and buy something as flashy as possible for your midlife crisis, right?
Wow, yeah.
Right. So the midlife crisis car was what did Freddie Flintoff end up in?
TVR,
right?
Wow,
shitty old third
Mirror.
Yeah, but a real shitty one.
Yeah, piece of shit.
Paddy McGuinness turns up in a 355 Ferrari. Oh no, not a 355 Ferrari, an MR2 Ferrari body kitted one.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And Chris Harris turns up in a Monaro. But there was a section in it where they went to a track and they had to race all these guys in the Saxo Challenge. So the Saxo Challenge cars, it was on Castle Coombe or something like that.
Kids in the Saxo Challenge.
Like 17-year-old kids in Saxo. Like racing Saxos immediately made me think of when we were young. First of all, but then they played. Chris Harris was then the final one because racing driver. He was in his Monaro trying to race these guys, and they played Born Slippy over it, and it just took me back.
But here, Monaros are class, absolutely class, and you can get one in for $6,000.
Well, but not now after being on Top Gear. I would say, sorry, yes, that's why I mentioned Top Gear, because the Yaris was on Top Gear as well, and Harris in the Yaris, and if that didn't help them sell out, I don't know. And that's helping the residual values for a car I haven't even bought yet.
That's unreal, Cooper.
I looked at them today on the lease options. You can lease one for $400 a month, which is interesting.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No way, guy.
But it remains to be seen. Like, does the lease company have a stock, or are they ordering them, making you wait for a year as well?
The PCP is $250 a month, which is just unbelievable.
That's unbelievable,
a good deal, isn't it?
That's no way, Cooper. You're having a giraffe.
Now, well, it depends. What I'm putting 8 or 9 down, and then $250 a month, and then there's a big flipping hit at the end. Like, but 0% APR. It's unbelievable.
See, and you know what? See, if that car holds its money, sure, you're in profit at the end of it. Technically, it's not technically profit, but you'll have money to spare at the end. That's
exactly what I told the wife.
Yeah.
Like literally,
savings.
This is going to make me money.
It's just going to empty the bank account and put it on cars. It's always worked out to date, right?
Oh dear, but that's going to be some car. But wait till you see my Fiat 500 smoke the balls of it.
Oh,
I'm really looking forward to this. I do love a 595, particularly the Turismo. The 595 Turismo is one of my most favorite cars.
They're just they're so cool. And but you know what? The only thing that changed my mind on them, Craig, was just getting the wee kids the other day there on His is Love. His is a grey one with white wheels and white decals, and they're just so cute. And literally, he drove it straight to TMC. Right, so he got the car. His dad won't be listening. This will be all right. We got the car at 2 o'clock, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. He drove straight to TMC in Dundonald, and by 3 o'clock, it had 170 brake.
That's
like literally
ridiculous.
Within two, it's just a plug. And boys, wait till you hear this. It's a plug-in box that goes straight, piggyback on the ECU or whatever the fucking plug it in. Right? It's Bluetooth. He can change the tune from his phone.
Class.
It's got 3 settings. It's got sport, perform, a race, and eco. So we can hit eco, and it drops the horsepower to 1 whatever, and it ups his mile to the gallon. So he can go for a long trip to Dublin, get himself his 40 mile to the gallon, get onto his mobile phone on the way up the road, hit race, and he gets 170 horsepower. Like, that's unreal. And then if he changes the turbo and puts the exhaust on, you can get 230, 240 out of them in a heartbeat. It's just mental.
That is crazy.
Class. For not like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd buy one, $7,000 would probably buy an average enough one. You spend maybe $1,000 or $1,500 on it. For $8,500, you've got 240 brake in a wee pocket rocket.
Yeah, for buying per buck.
Do you know what? See, after I thought I'd done the hatchback thing.
Yeah.
And I haven't really had them for years, a fast one. And then obviously the Yaris, but there's just something about them.
Yeah.
It is midlifey, like. But,
it's midlife, mate. It's full midlife. And it's it's great. We're not over the hill yet, lads.
No, there's plenty of life left in us.
Plenty of life.
Andy, you've gone full midlife, but we'll talk about that in another episode. You went midlife and then went, fuck it. Go midlife again.
Yes.
Never go full midlife.
About 6 months ago, me and my bro, we were in the shop on a Sunday doing something to the windows or whatever, and I heard this enormous noise. Our shop's in the ground floor of a multi-story car park called Montgomery Street Car Park, and I heard this mad roar out of the car park and opened the door, and there was all these Jap cars parked at the, they had made their way up to the roof for a photo shoot and a video, and then it made their way back down. There was Subarus, there was Evos, there was S14s, S15s, Skylines. Oh man, it was so nostalgic. I was like, I need to get back into this. It's amazing. But there was a guy, Paul Phoenix, was doing the videographing. Does he ring a bell?
No.
The Paul Phoenix from a million years ago from Banger Cruise? Paul Phoenix?
Maybe, or maybe not. But he's got like a production company. I think it's something PP production. And anyway, he's still big into his cars and into his Jap stuff. But look him up, Paul Phoenix. But
I'm Googling him here now.
Yeah, Google him. There's a video. He's got a video up online of it because he actually sent me it on one of those on the Instagram or something like that there. And you can see all the Jap cars floating through Belfast and stuff. And it was magic.
Class.
Absolutely magic, lads. But I can't. Do you know what, Cooper? That's great. That is a great idea of yours with the coffee. I never even thought cars and coffee.
Let number one's the coffee, right? I've got another idea here, and this is for a podcast like a year down the line or something like that.
Don't be charging me for these ideas now.
No, well, this is my idea, so fuck you. You can pay me for it. But I want to do a music podcast because on tunes for the motor.
Yes.
And I want someone like Danny. We'll get Danny D in.
Danny D.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the best in the business.
Energy 106 Black Hole. Do you know what I mean? That's
amazing.
Yep. So
here, see if I can recommend a podcast to you, and I know you would love this, right? I haven't done one now in about the last year, but about a year ago, there was a couple of DJs from around these parts done a podcast called From Bedroom to the Booth. And they interviewed Lawrence John from Six. Guys, can I tell you?
I can see where he got abducted from my house.
Up the field. Can I tell you? One of the most interesting and exhilarating podcasts you'll listen to. The stuff that guy has lived through and got up to was unreal, and how he built Energy 106 to be what it was. Because like you remember, he used to run raves with like 5,000 people and 10,000 people and all like going to them, and it was just and then it was all everything. Of course, everything was all shut down, and he kept going, and he talks about the alien abduction and
that's
jeepers.
Brilliant. The alien abduction.
It's if you don't get it, send me a message and I'll send you. It's a brilliant podcast.
I see it in Apple Podcasts here. I'll definitely subscribe to that there.
Oh mate, it's there's one of me on it there. In fact, there's two of me on it. But anyway, the Lawrence John one's just flipping fantastic. What a guy. So yes, Cooper. Yeah. By the way, back to the DJ thing. If anybody wants to listen to this and wants to listen to the sort of stuff I play, if they go on the SoundCloud and they just type in DJ Chris Suitor or something like that, you'll get my Positive People series, which is hour-long mixes of trance music that I'm into, and it's all mixed together. And it's all
a bit of trance music.
Here, it's all about positivity. It's all about euphoria. It's all about uplifting music that just raises your mood, as it were. So if any of you are feeling shit, get into your car, stick on Positive People, and away you go. It's class.
That's fantastic. Chris, where can people find you? Online, on the socials?
Online socials, Chris Suitor, at Chris Suitor GGG. The GGG stands for my mantra, which is get up, get out, get at it. So if you just type in Chris Suitor GGG, you'll find, Twitter's still Suitor Brothers, but Facebook, my personal one's Chris DJ Suitor. There is a Chris Suitor GGG on it, but it's mainly Instagram, guys, that I'm on nowadays. It's the only thing I've really got time for. You get me on LinkedIn and all that sort of stuff. As much as I fucking hate LinkedIn, I hate it, but I'm on it anyway because I know it works for business. And the Instagram's where it's at for me, lads.
Well, look, Chris, really appreciate you coming on the show.
Buzzing, by the way, it's been great catching up.
This has been class.
It has been fantastic.
It has been a walk down memory lane.
Well, we're here, Rocco. We're doing Banger Cruise, man.
We're doing Banger.
I'm flipping telling you. You just put it out in the forum and say Banger Cruise is back with coffee.
You tell me when you're ready to go, and we'll do it.
We have to
bring
this.
the cars. I'll bring the coffee.
Oh man, it's just going to be flipping. Oh, it'll be amazing.
If you brew it, they will come.
Yes, I will come, and I will say, do you know what? Not even that. I'm going to come next week. Every week, we're going to go to Banger car park. We're going to piss off all the flipping residents like we did the last time, and it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Why did
the brew crew?
Did you never think of doing combining all your skills into like a DJ coffee cart with the speakers and everything?
Here, Cooper, you're
and on the Barf engine.
You're coming up with some great ideas tonight.
The ideas are flying out of me tonight.
They are flying out tonight, yeah. Maybe on down the line. Yes, and we'll get a wee tune to Barth into it, Gary, and get some dumb files going. But yeah, awesome. Mate, look, honestly, just chuffed to bits to have me on. Andy and Gary and Chris and Craig. Thank you so much.
Guys, brilliant.
No, thank
Chris,
Really enjoyed it.
really appreciate you taking the time because
What did you want to ask me? You wanted to ask me something, Cooper?
tell us about the Mega Booster, Chris.
Right. So again, pre-midlife crisis, lads. Okay, so it's not quite the midlife crisis. Do you know what? This is actually a really good story. Here, if you follow me enough, you'll understand that I'm into this whole manifesting shite, right? And I fully believe that, see, if you really want something, and I mean you really want it, it will happen. Now, you'll have to go through certain processes, and number one, like patience and a wee bit of luck. But anyway, you'll get there. I took a notion for a Megabusa about 3 years ago. And, well, about 4 years ago now, actually, because of COVID, right? But 4 years ago. And I always said to myself, someday I'm going to own a Megabus. And I didn't want a Caterham. I didn't want an R500. I didn't want a flipping Lotus. I didn't want a Westfield with a flipping 2-liter Z-Tech. I wanted a Megabus. It had to be a Megabus. And I went and looked at, I think I looked at 5 over a couple of year period. I looked at 5 cars, and every one of them were shite. They were a shitbox, right? And I'd almost gave up on the idea of never owning a Megabusa, because number one, if somebody has one, they generally don't want to sell it because they're epic, right? And my ex-landlord walked into my shop one afternoon, and he's a bit of a car head, and me and him always connected over cars. And I said, well, Willie, what have you got about you now? Oh, he says, here, what do you see what I've got in the garage? And he pulled out his phone, he's flicking through the pictures, and he shows me this kit car in his garage. And this is exactly word for word how the conversation went. I said, Willie? He goes, yes. I said, is that a Megabusa? He goes, Chris, that is a Megabusa. And I said, Willie, is that Megabusa for sale? And he goes, Chris, no, it's not, but it might be. And I was like, right? And I was like, Willie, if I arrive down to your house tonight with a bag full of pound notes, will I drive that Megabusa home? And he goes, Chris, how many pound notes are we talking? And that was it. And that was the whole thing opened. And I said, William, I will be at your house at 5:30. I left the shop, 6:30. I left the shop, went home, got my friend to take me down to his house. And I drove the Megabusa home. Within 5.5 hours of him walking into my shop, the Megabusa was sitting in my garage.
Unreal.
And absolutely unreal. And it gets worse, right? So, me being the show-off bastard that I am, I actually got my friend Warren to pick me up in his McLaren. He took me down his McLaren. He had a 720. Was it an orange 720? 600 LT, right? So anyway, and William, the guy that bought part of the whole deal with me buying the Megabus was that I got my mate in the McLaren to come take him out, right? That's fine. So I got Warren to come down in the McLaren, and Warren took him out. So put it out of my driveway. I decided I'm going to flip and show off in this Megabusa because like they're a death trap, lads. They're a fucking death trap, right? And I'm putting it in my driveway going left. William and Warren are putting it in my driveway and going right. So they're away on down the road. I gave it full fucking Dixie up the Grantia Road here where I live. And this Megabusa, you can imagine, it's a 1.3 Hayabusa, straight through exhaust. It sounded like a Formula One car. And I gunned it as hard as I could, thinking I was showing off to Warren and William, leaving it sideways up the road, because it's sequential. And that was fine. On the way back down the road, I roll down. I'm trying to be kind to my neighborhood because I know I've just probably woke them all up. I arrive down into the neighborhood and put into my garage, reverse the car in. Doesn't some big burly fucker of a neighbor of mine come bouncing through my garage and literally grab me by the throat? Boom! Was that you in that fucking car? And had literally pulled the fist, but literally ready to fill me in. Like this guy's about 20 stone, right? And literally ready to fill me in until his flipping son runs down the flipping road after him. Daddy, don't touch him. And his son had to pull him off me. And so literally I went from up here, thinking I'm the dog's balls of my Megabusa, ripping it up the road, coming down to all of a sudden going, please, sir, don't punch me. And oh my God, I had a very quick eye opening as to how much trouble a certain Megabusa could get you into.
Put manners on you.
It put manners on me, yeah. And do you know what? I couldn't even be angry at him because he was right. Because they're 200. This one was tuned to about 200 brakes, like 198, and it curb weight 425 kilo. So you've the guts of 500 brake per ton. It was just an absolute animal of a thing. And when I was walking out, and his son was putting, I was like, mate, you know what? Fair play to you. Sorry, I'll not do that again. And never once did I race that wee thing over 30 mile an hour around these parts ever again. But on other roads, I might have pushed her towards the speed limit once or twice.
Do you know what? I think as the years went on, I sort of have a bit more respect for the limits. And
yeah, you have to. And you know, and I'll be honest with you, I'm one of the guys from my road that petitions to have speed bumps put up the fucking road. And because again, our road where we are here, people just fly up the road like really badly. It's an awful road. And then there's me in the flipping kit car, sending it sideways out of the flipping driveway and up the hill, giving it gears as quick as I can have it. And just, when you put your flipping sensible hand, just go, yeah, I was a dick. I actually deserved to get me. In fact, if his son hadn't came down, he probably would have took my nose off, and I deserved it. So, that was, that put manners on me big style. But the wee Megaboost, I sold it to fund the family project and like a holiday home type thing. And I sold a load of other bits and pieces. That a lovely white UK turbo Impreza that I restored at that time too. And I sold it. I can't sell my 205 CTI because it's just too special. But yeah, so I'm going to get back into the whole car scene with my 500 of Barth. And
it'll never leave you.
Rip out your Yaris by the roots.
Up the road.
Yes.
UTR.
It's all about the driver. Don't forget there's 50 horsepower in this hand and 50 horsepower in this hand and 100 horsepower in my right foot, Cooper.
I think my 4-wheel drive will just put pay to that sort of fucking see you later.
Here, do you know what? All joking
chin wheel spin.
Here, all joking aside, there's not going to be much will sit with that Yaris at all in any car, particularly on a twisty like. On
a back road in the lashing rain. See you later.
Yeah, it'll drive away from everything. That's mental.
You're starting off with a 595, but where's this going to take you? What's the dream?
I'll be honest with you, and this is, I hope I don't come across sounding like a wanker. The Megaboost was my dream, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. There is not another car that I even look at twice. All I wanted was a Westfield Megaboost, and see going now. I don't know, because I've got my 205. I always wanted a white 205 convertible, and that's my sixth 205 convertible, my second white one. So I've got it. The Megaboost. I suppose I would love an E36 M3 again, just because I like the way they drive. I like the way they steer. I like the looks of them. I associate an E36 M3 with the type of car I would like to own. But like dream car, if money was no object, what would I have? I'd probably be a McLaren guy, to be fair. If it had to be like a super, if you're asking me what's the dream car that I will never own, it's probably a McLaren of some sort. I find them beautiful. I would Ferraris and all that. I don't really have a thing for Ferraris or Lambos or.
I like the McLaren engineering. So I came from a Lotus. I had a couple of Lotuses and XEs, supercharged XEs and all the rest. They were incredible. But the next step is, well, some might say Porsche is the next step. But McLaren, those carbon tubs, that 3.8 twin turbo, what a piece of engineering.
They're still wired by farmers though.
So McLaren's probably definitely where it's at for me. Like here, do you know what? They're affordable, but they're affordable. They're still a fortune, but you see
570 is about 80 grand.
Yes,
starting from
80. Yeah, but 80 grand for a 570. I'm thinking, do you know what? That's a lot of flash. I know it's 80. It's still £80,000, but
Yeah, but one drives past you look at it and you think 200 grand.
Correct, Gary.
Yes,
and with the whole PCP deals and you know what I mean, it could be 10 grand and 800 a month for 2 years and then hand it back type thing.
You can have a McLaren 600 LT Spider in a Mayan orange, and it's yours for £25,000 deposit and $1,699 a month.
Jesus, that's brand new though, isn't it?
That's brand spanking.
Wow.
And for an extra £500, a special tartan finish.
Yes.
Just for you.
For an extra £1,000, you can get the truck that you're eventually going to end up putting it back on and sending it back to
Send it
Scotland.
back home. Yes, I was going to say, and the depreciation on that would be like nothing else you'd ever imagined.
Yes.
That's the set. But you think, see, whenever they get down to 80 grand, you think like, here, they can't go any lower than that. Like a friend of mine bought a, what do you call the slightly older McLaren, wee bit squarer.
The not a P1, 12C.
Yep,
MP412C. Yep.
MP412C. He's bought a black one of those, and I don't know what he paid, but he says he reckons he's bought it bottom of the market, and it'll probably creep up 10 or 15 or 20 grand over the next, and that's a great investment. Say he paid 60 for it. I don't know what they're worth, but say he paid 60, and in 5 years' time they're worth 80. Let me tell you, there's not much stuff you'd make 20 grand on in 5 years.
The car market in the last 12 months has been absolutely frigging bonkers. I think the Auto Trader survey was like 40 weeks of the period of 2020. Used cars went up overall by about 4 or 5%. Performance cars went up over 10%.
Oh my goodness.
Up used.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So just something sitting in your garage making money.
And you feel sorry. I know that's the wife always gets off about the wee 205. And I'm thinking, Nicola, every day I wake up, that Peugeot 205 is worth more than it was yesterday. And
Yep.
she's like, you know how women are, right? Sorry, Blade, wherever she is, she's probably going to listen to this. But every day you wake up, it gets dear because there's just none for sale. And like one of them sold previous, like CTIs have sold anywhere from 8 grand to flipping 15 to 20 grand for some Concours models. And like they're only going to get more expensive as guys like us have the midlife crisis and go, oh, I wish I owned one of them when I was a kid. Like Novas are a fortune nowadays, and
that's what's missing from my garage at the moment is a classic. I think at humble money that will, in fact, about just a bit less than a year ago. And I don't know if I've talked about this even in some of our trial podcasts that we had, but I did try and buy an 8-valve Mark II Golf GTI, which is in the family.
Nice.
But didn't. Yeah, nice, but it didn't work out. But it sort of put me in the notion. It's like, do you know what? I actually would like something that I can hold on to. But that's another thing. That's another midlife crisis thing. I want to buy something that reminds me of my childhood that I can hold on forever.
Well, here I was up at a guy's place there. Friday, we're getting that other wee car, and he has a 74 or 73 RS 2000. He's got a Mexico. He's got a Mark II rally car. He's got he's got loads and loads of stuff, but like the two Mark IIs are worth over 50, 60 grand each. And he's just saying like this, and he didn't tell me what to suit him, but they didn't stand him 50 grand. And he's just saying, look, these cars are just sitting here accumulating money. And like you're like, here, why didn't I remember? Like I'm sure every one of us here has cars that you wish you'd never sold because they're now making money.
Well, Chris, really appreciate having you on.
And where do we get it? Will it be on the usual?
On RMS, it'll be on all podcast platforms. Yep. So sold the same. So tag me at RMS Motoring if you're
brilliant. Yes, you hold on.
And he's going to edit it down to 8 minutes.
Here, does it have an Instagram handle?
No, it really shouldn't it?
As in, but does RMS have an Instagram?
Yes, at RMS Motoring. Yeah.
Right, cool.
Or hashtag RMS Motoring. Yeah.
Consider it done, mate. I will get on it and give it a wee plug. Right, lads.
Good man. Take it easy, Chris. Really appreciate it. Good man.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye. Right, I'm going to pull us into the pits as the brakes here are literally on fire. Thanks to our guest, Chris Suitor, who was brilliant, and of course the team here, Gary, Craig, producer C in the background, and give yourself a pat on the back for making it to episode 2 of the Sold as Seen podcast by RMS Motoring. We'll be back very soon with more wittering nonsense and hopefully very much more interesting than us guests. Thanks for listening, and remember to like, subscribe, do all the things we're supposed to tell you to do so you can hear us again. And we're everywhere at RMS Motoring and on rmsmotoring.com. We also want to hear your questions for the podcast, so email us at pod@rmsmotoring.com. Get us on the socials at RMS Motoring on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or on the RMS Motoring forum in the new podcast section. Thanks for joining us, and remember, there's no warranty. This was sold as seen.